After years of being pushed out of the only historically African-American neighborhood in Portland, Oregon, families and businesses are spearheading a movement to revitalize the community. Alexa Liacko shows us how families who are part of the neighborhood's success are bringing business back.
When buildings no longer tell the story of a neighborhood, we hold on to the photographs left behind. But the real history lives on in the stories behind the pictures.
I have vivid memories just right down the street here. Portland was known for the jazz scene, sort of like a roaring 20s, but in the 80s and in the 70s, you know.
It's the stories of hardworking families that made this Portland neighborhood thrive for decades. It became a hub for Black culture and community in a district named Albina.
All of this predominantly was, I would say, 80% African American.
That wasn't by accident. In the 1920s, red lines drawn on a city map would dictate where people of color could live, buy property, or get a bank loan, relegating the Black community to Albina. Countless home deeds document the push to keep Black families out of Portland's downtown. That's how Sharon Maxwell's family ended up here.
They were dirt poor. They were redlined to this area, and they did the best that they could, you know, to survive.
Sharon's family lived just blocks from Paul Knowles Jr.
My neighborhood was very diverse.
Both grew up walking different lives down the same Albina streets.
My father moved here in 1963. He was there to integrate Fairchild Air Force Base from Arkansas. He always knew he wanted to be in business for himself.
Knowles worked alongside his parents to build several successful Black-owned businesses.
There was a Black economic system, an ecosystem that the dollar stayed in the neighborhood at that time.
But that once successful ecosystem looks different now. Paul's businesses are gone. The last one just closed last year. It was a hair salon his parents started decades ago.
You come into this barbershop on a Friday, a Saturday, it's filled with laughter and joy.
Sharon's childhood home was demolished.
To see a lot of that just as memories, it kind of breaks my heart, and it breaks the heart of the community.
Everyone knew each other. Everyone looked out for each other. Gentrification destroyed the community connection.
In the 1960s and 70s, thousands of African Americans in Albina were pushed from their homes through eminent domain with nowhere to go. A freeway replaced much of the neighborhood. New housing was promised, but was never built.
It's almost like the community is grieving. We're all grieving, you know, because we're losing that which, you know, we were familiar with.
By the time it was over 3,000 homes that Black people lived in that were gone. And so they were displaced. Along with that came all of the businesses.
Developers and the city of Portland swept in for urban renewal efforts, but to many families there, the projects made no impact.
It was painful. The buildings were so high, there was no sun coming in, and people looked at you like you were a foreigner in your own neighborhood. That's what happened with gentrification.
Today, many new apartments sit in places Sharon and Paul remembered fondly.
We're living in one of the most whitest cities in America. Here they said they're offering affordable housing, but that is not the case. I mean, everybody that I know is like, I can't afford to live there.
That's why these two are part of a project to bring back affordable housing and Black businesses to Albina. It's part of an African-American-led initiative to rebuild the neighborhood.
It's been vacant 50 years.
Sharon is developing plans for this corner to revitalize what was once here.
It's a wealth creation for the African-American community.
Paul is about to open a new business too, just a block from his family's salon.
We're trying to continue that legacy.
A legacy of equality and opportunity the city of Portland is also getting behind. A partnership giving both Paul and Sharon hope.
Let this be just the beginning.
The rebirth of a community where all voices are lifted up and where success is shared.
One thing about Black folks we overcome. We always have. The tide is changing again. And I honestly believe in my heart of hearts it's moving our way.
For The Race, I'm Alexa Liacko.
What is redlining? It's a form of lending discrimination that has been illegal for more than 50 years, but some say it still happens in a different form. The practice of redlining started in the 30s. The federal government teamed up with real estate agencies and lenders to create home lending risk maps, drawing red lines around neighborhoods they decided were too risky. Those neighborhoods were often urban and home to Black and Latino families who were denied loans based on race and where they lived, even if they were creditworthy. Federal law first prohibited home lending discrimination in 1968, then added more protection in 1977. But critics say the discrimination is still happening. Rather than redlining, critics say lenders today are more likely to engage in reverse redlining, flooding those once off-limits neighborhoods with predatory loans. A record number of people are building their own homes right now. We're looking into the process when The Race continues.